In this video, we're going to talk about the 3 fears that are essentially keeping you where you're at instead of where you should be going. But before we get started, be sure to hit subscribe. And at any point I create value for you in this video, please give it a like. And if you got a question, drop it in the comments below. Let's get started. Number 1, and we'll cover all 3 of these fears in order. Number 1 is fear of failure. And this is pretty funny to me, ironically, because if you have the fear of failure, you don't take the steps to get started because you're afraid to fail. Like, what if it's unsuccessful? What if nobody likes it? What if it doesn't work out, But like the greatest saying to this, which you've probably seen somewhere, is like, if you don't start, you already fell. By trying, not only are you gonna learn lessons and gain opportunities and gain insight and tons of knowledge that if you did fail, at least next time you try or the next time you do something similar, you are gonna have so much information that you're gonna know what doesn't work, that you know exactly how it does work. Because even as an entrepreneur myself, back in 2018, I built my first startup, and the one that I'm building now is very similar, but I know exactly what not to do because it failed epically, and then our second one failed epically, and then the third one failed epically, and I was like, why me? But if you think about it, everything that I'm doing now, I know exactly what to do and how to do it, and I don't really have to guess. There are still ambiguous factors that you have to deal with that is a part of business and marketing and a part of branding, but essentially, if you just do it, you're going to, if you do fail, and having that fear of failure is by doing nothing, you're going to cause a whole lot more problems. I guess is the super easy way to say it. Yeah. All right. Number 2, let's go. Fear of judgment. For some reason, people, especially the people who judge the most, are afraid of judgment. And if you think about it, like the best people who put out the best content, honestly, are the ones who aren't afraid of judgment. They're, seriously just like speaking authentically from their heart. And they allow judgment to fully fade away because I think they've come to this realization, and you might have too, that you realize that essentially like by speaking your truth and being authentic, yes, there's going to be haters that come out of the woodwork and they're going to judge you and they're going to try to pull you down. But essentially that's a really good sign that you're creating some noise in your space, or you're creating movement forward, because those people are a test and those people are here to see if their word's more powerful than you. But if you keep going and you're not afraid of being judged and you kind of like push those people to the side because you're like, what are you doing? Nothing. Oh, so why are you judging me? Because I'm triggering you, Like once you kind of look at it that way, that you're triggering people because you're on the path to success and they're trying to pull you back, like, nah, that fear of judgment tends to fade away. And the more you really care less about what people think and just continually put out content that resonates with you and has meaning to you, you're going to find your tribe. You're also going to find a ton of people that really resonate because they've had the same thoughts, but you're the one who's speaking out on it. And by speaking out on it, you're essentially going to be the one who creates the difference in everybody's life, instead of just holding it in, stuffing it down, and being like, oh no, should I do this? Should I not? Maybe, you know what I mean? I've been there before. Last one is fear of the unknown. So the wildest thing happens here is like, by essentially we're in these subconscious loops all the time. Like we're continually in them. And what we know is like, I always say, like when you want to break that cycle, it feels like you're doing something wrong because your brain has essentially created this pattern of recognition. And it's like, when I do this, this happens. When I do this, this happens. When I do this, this happens. But instead of leaning into the unknown and like, instead of like going right when that feels right and being like, whoa, hard turn left. And you're like, whoa, that doesn't feel right. Because we haven't actually experienced this, what's in the unknown, our subconscious or our ego or our amygdalas in our brain are like, whoa, like we can't go there. We know what happens, even though this loop is extremely painful and never does anything successful for me. I know it and I'm really good at it and I can do it really fast, even though it doesn't bring you success. Where honestly, doing what feels wrong at the point that you catch yourself in a cycle will create so much change and so much difference out of one movement that your brain's going to be like, oh my God, that was so well worth it. But what you have to do essentially to get through fear of the unknown is just like, as soon as you catch yourself in that pattern, stop the pattern and go the opposite way. For instance, like, I don't even know a good one for this. Like, let's say in a video edit, like say all I did was montages and I'm like, dang, why aren't these montages working? You know what the exact opposite would that be? Would be like add a storyline, add a story arc. And yes, it's going to be super freaking hard the first time you do it, but every time you do it, you're going to get better and better at it. And then you're going to see like people are going to be more engaging versus your montages. So instead of watching and guessing what you're portraying, you're like, this is what I'm portraying in the narrative. And here's the shots that match. Like that kind of makes sense. But you'll know your own pattern too, because we're all in these patterns that we continually repeat this stuff over and over again when we're like, why is that not working? And then we get frustrated, as Einstein said, like, doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results is madness, and that creates chaos, essentially. So think about that. Like, if you're continually doing something over and over again and nothing's changing, maybe you have the fear of the unknown, and maybe doing that one thing that would lead you in another direction that you've never been would change your life, So just to recap, we have fear of failure, fear of judgment, and fear of the unknown. These are probably the 3 fears that are holding you back from moving forward. But honestly, just lean into them a little bit, because a little bit of change in identifying any of these patterns that you might have fear in, by just leaning into it, you're going to feel resistance. When you feel that resistance, you're on the right track to creating a different outcome. And once you create a different outcome, you're going to be like, holy shit, why didn't I do this earlier? So guys, hopefully you can do that. And until next time, peace out. Have a good day.